Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the news or views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The CIDG chief files a complaint against former President Rodrigo Duterte. This is still about Duterte's joke about killing 15 senators.
The House Tri-Committee continues the hearing on fake news. Tune in as we take a closer look at the developments there.
Schools in Quezon City are on high alert following the declaration of the dengue outbreak. Now, what measures are they taking to keep our children safe?
And the Alyansa ng Bagong Pilipinas Senatorial Bets will hold a campaign rally in Pasay City later today.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte now faces charges over his controversial remark about killing senators. Meanwhile, his allies dismissed the complaint, saying it has no legal basis. Here's the report.
PNP CIDG Director Brigadier General Nicolas Torre has filed complaints of inciting to sedition and unlawful utterances against former President Rodrigo Duterte over his controversial remark about killing 15 senators.
Hindi malayo na gayahin or he will be taken he will be taken seriously by his blind supporters. Yung bagong Pilipinas na eh. Hindi na pwede yung ganung mga statements na kinaumagahan, joke only na lang.
Duterte made a statement during the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan or PDP Laban Senatorial Proclamation Rally at Club Filipino in San Juan City on February 13. In a statement, former presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo slammed Torre, calling him a tower of ignorance and an edifice of nonsense for filing what he described as a ludicrous case that lacks legal basis. Panelo added that, unlike Torre, senators have the common sense and humor to recognize Duterte's statement as a joke. Meanwhile, Representative Zia Alonto Adiong has called on the National Bureau of Investigation to look into Duterte's remark.
It should concern all of us because hindi dapat man normalize yung salita na patayin. Pag sinasabi na joke, when will it end? We don't know which one is joke and which one is not. So I think we have to be more circumspect about how we say things out in the public.
When asked about the issue, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla said it would be best if the senators who felt threatened by Duterte's words should take the initiative to file a complaint.
Alam niyo naman na sometimes we're used to the language of the former president.
Yes, sir.
Sanay tayo. Hindi naman lahat ng sinasabi niya tatalon tayo.
Yes, sir.
Diba? Pero if the senators themselves complain, then we have reason to act on the matter. Kasi syempre sila yung sila yung endangered ng ganong statements. It can possibly have a ripple effect.
Meantime, the National Bureau of Investigation has no plans to launch an investigation into former President Duterte's controversial remarks. NBI Director Jaime Santiago simply described Duterte's statements as part of a political campaign strategy. He said that these statements were more of a campaign gimmick and not to be considered as calls for violence. Santiago is also urging the public to view it as a joke. Duterte is running for mayor of Davao City in the 2025 elections.
Alam nyo, part ng rhetorics yan eh. Yung style ni Presidente Duterte to entice yung mga followers niya na kagatin yung kanilang propaganda. Walang imbestigahan at nakita naman rhetorics lang yun na palamuti ng kanyang kampanya.
Yun nga eh. Before the PBBM administration for the last 6 years. It was a normal day for us, diba? Yung ganito. Ang difference lang ngayon kasi, ang sinasabi nila is mas marami ngayon na nagsispeak out at saka yung hindi sumasang-ayon. As compared before, diba, parang tatawa na lang or will just take it as a joke.
Noon kasi ang sabi nila, there was a culture
kasi siya yung presidente nun eh.
There was a culture of fear being him in power. Pero they have to be consistent kasi si VP Sara, katakot-takot na kaso sa ginawa niyang rhetoric, no? Very similar to that of her dad.
Pero ang point
to kill
nila
the president, ito to kill 15 senators. They're both rhetorics, pero sabi mo joke yung isa, pero yung isa is not a joke.
Pero sinasabi ng ibang mga legal experts, and also I think DOJ as well, ang sinasabi nila, the difference here daw kasi kasi yung kay VP Sara, she directed it at three main persons, may pangalan, 'di ba? Merong Speaker Martin Romualdez, you have Lisa Araneta Marquez, and of course PBBM. As compared daw dito sa sa sinabi ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, 15 senators lang. Wala naman daw direction.
Lang. Those are 15
Now it's up to these senators kung mag-file sila ng complaint.
Parang siguro individually wala siyang legal basis, pero yung institution ng Senado binastos mo eh. Sabi ng iba, 'di ba? By accusing them na okay, patayin natin sila. What if there is a blind fanatic? Ito ang danger diyan. Sa million na followers ng former president, what if may isa lang na medyong naniniwala?
And what's so concerning also, when he was uttering those words, yung phrases na patayin, yung crowd was cheering as well. Patayin, di ba, yung mga ganun. Parang medieval times.
Sabi nga nila, if you notice, most of the people sa slate ni Pangulo, the former president, they sound like him. With regards to the way they talk. With exemption kay Senator Bongo. Kasi si Senator Bongo, medyo mild magsalita eh. Pero yung others, they sound like him. Yung sumisigaw, nagte-threaten, di ba?
The other side of the
Macho.
fence, sinasabi natin, gano'n naman daw talaga yung kanyang personality. Ang sinasabi naman ni Senator Kiko or Coco Pimentel rather, sabi naman niya, mas tignan daw natin kasi baka parang borderline may personality disorder kapag ganyan daw yung mga pag-iisip o yung mga sinasabing salita.
Well, mga bata gumagaya eh. May problema. All right, let's move on. The Commission on Elections clarified that negative campaigning is not prohibited under the 1985 Omnibus Election Code. This comes amid a series of verbal attacks between rival political camps. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia explained that the poll body has no jurisdiction over supporters engaging in negative campaigning since they are not candidates. However, Garcia warned that individuals, including candidates, who make defamatory remarks could face criminal charges such as libel or cyber libel.
All right. To discuss that with us, we have Michael Yusinko, Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Welcome to News and Views. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Angela, and good morning to everyone listening now to your program.
Right. So how do you think about this negative campaigning? How will this affect the public's perception of political candidates and, of course, their credibility? Kasi parang lately, since the campaign started, di ba talagang mga birahan na yung mga naririnig natin from both the PBBM admin slate and, of course, to the Duterte camp?
It's unfortunate, no? It's unfortunate that negative campaigning is now really a staple in our political discourse, no? And unfortunately, also, media has been complicit in fostering that kind of culture, no? Kasi media, including myself, we're always quick to talk about these kinds of types of campaigning because it sells, right? It sells. So right now, two broadsheets have their headlines about former President Duterte's remarks, no? So we tend to focus on really the dramatics and the personal attacks. Sadly, at the expense of really what's important, no? When it comes to a campaign period, and I think that's where we are now. We like or we love this type of negative campaigning.
But what do you think of that? Kasi sinasabi po natin siguro sa side ng Duterte, parang sanay na tayo na talagang we'll hear negative campaigning or negative remarks from them. But sa kabilang side naman, which is the PBBM administration, which is mismong si President Bongbong Marcos, ay nagsasalita na rin siya ng mga negative campaigning or negative words against ng mga kalaban, which is something that we are not used to, no? Hindi naman siya ganun dati. So what do you think of that? Bakit biglang ganun yung discourse ngayon nung admin slate?
Well, because it gets the attention of the public, no? It gets the attention of media. Whether we like it or not, yung process of trying to understand issues, process of trying to understand solutions to our problems, it's not sexy, no? It doesn't grab the attention of the voters, which is unfortunate, no? And I think media has to take some kind of responsibility over that, or civil society has to take responsibility over that anomaly. But tayong mga Pilipino, ang hilig natin sa ganun sa chismis, sa mga alitan.
Yeah.
Remember how captivated we are with what happened to Andy Eigenman and her partner, di ba? Ilang araw din tayong nakatutok dun sa nangyayari sa kanila na ganun, ano? And that's the kind of political consciousness we have now. We are more sort of attracted to negative campaigning, bangayan, bardagulan, rather than really having a civil discussion about what our problems are and how are we going to solve them.
Pero you're right, no? I think in general kasi the Filipinos, we love drama. But do you think for a time being, parang it seemed like sa panahon ni presidential election ni PBBM, that negative campaigning was not working. Kasi in part, si PBBM was not engaging as a presidential candidate. He was not engaging anyone in negative campaigning. In fact, he didn't even attend any debates. He kept quiet. It was the other candidates who were attacking him and his history of martial law, and yet he came out on top. What do you make of that phenomenon?
Well, I don't think there's a link, no? I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think there's a link to the fact that he was quiet at that time, and that is a reason why he won, no? Because there are other reasons for his victory in 2022. Maybe that silence or that being quiet played a part, but it's not really a big part, no? So, and we know that the reason why he was very silent at that time is precisely because he didn't want to engage in negative campaigning, because that can also expose him. That can also expose him to attacks, criticisms. So it was a good strategy in that sense, that being silent in a way shielded him from further attacks on his personality, on his history, on his family's history, etc., etc.
Pero what's interesting right now, no, yung negative campaigning that is going on is between two factions of the former Uni team, no? You know that there's the Marcos side, there's the northern bloc, there's the southern bloc naman kay Duterte, and together they formed the 30 million mandate that PBBM had. But now, ano yung effect nitong mudslinging from both sides with regards to those who are in the middle, who voted for the Uni team but were not on Marcos' side, were not on Duterte's side? Ano yung impact sa kanila nito?
In a way, kawawa sila, Angelo, no? Because they really sincerely voted for the Uni team because they believed that this team was it, no? It was going to deliver us from our hell of the 6 years of the Duterte administration. So kawawa sila because now they're realizing that hindi pala ganun kakaiba yung binoto nila, no? Ngayon, they will have to grapple with the reality that they voted for the same old traditional politicians, no? Hindi pala mga change makers yung binoto nila. And they will have to deal with that. So right now, para sa akin, those voters are precisely the ones that we should be helping, no? Media and civil society to help them now see a much bigger picture of what's happening, no? Kasi baka noon they were very focused on the personalities and the names. And now it's incumbent upon us in media and in civil society to help them, help them have a broader perspective of who are running, why are they running, and if they are really capable of helping us solve the problems that we are facing.
Well, I wish we could talk about, sabi nga nila, di ba, we could talk about the solutions on how are we going to solve the problems our country is facing today. Pero yun nga, ang baba daw ng ano natin political discourse natin ngayon. So how are we going to shift that narrative?
Well, it's up to us. No, it's up to us. Number one, in media, because of course, by default, you play a big part in sort of setting the agenda of the political discourse, of the public discourse. And secondary to that, also us in civil society, in the academe, we also have to contribute our part in helping voters sort of see what's should be given attention to, and also those that should be ignored, para hindi naman mapuno yung plate natin when it comes to talking about what really matters to us. So I think that's the formula, Angela. No? Number one, media should take responsibility and really, being more discriminating in what you should be talking about or you should be highlighting. No? And secondarily, us in civil society, also pitching in and really helping our kababayans, our fellow Filipinos, have that kind of aggressiveness when it comes to evaluating candidates. Yung hindi na lang basta tatanggap-tanggap ng mga budots, ng mga wonderful tonight. Alam mo na, di ba? Kasi makakita lang tayo ng entertainment, papalakpak na tayo. So we have to get over that, and we have to help our fellow Filipinos to be more, be more aggressive and assertive in evaluating candidates.
Yeah, alam mo, I've spoken to a lot of educated voters, and they pointed out a case in point daw. Like for example, si candidate Heidi, I think it's Heidi Mendoza, who was a true platform that she stands by, and yet yung numero niya, because she does not engage in mudslinging or dirty politics, mababa. You also have now yung medyong tahimik. You have the members of the Liberal Party, si Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan, who are not anymore as of this point engaging in that, and they're talking about their platform, and yet also medyo mababa ulit ang numero niya. So how, aside from yung media trying to play its part, how do we then begin to get, not only educate, sometimes the voters will find educating boring, but how do we get them engaged into talagang discerning the rightful people to vote for?
That's a great question, Angelo. And I think for civil society now, civil society organizations in particular, they have to provide that link, between the candidates that you were talking about and the voters. And when I talk about links, I'm talking about venues for them to connect. No? This could be town hall sessions, town hall debates, town hall discussions, which can also happen online, which by the way is sanctioned by COMELEC. No, the candidates can organize town hall sessions online. No, so that voters will have, the opportunity to connect directly to the candidates and vice versa. So gusto natin ma-eliminate kasi yung situation na nagkakaroon lang tayo ng mga mass rallies na may entablado, tapos yung mga botante pumapalakpak lang, no? And ine-entertain lang. Yun ang gusto natin ma-avoid because that sort of sustains that mentality of yung natutuwa lang sa mga kandidato na nakakatuwa. So if civil society can create more venues like those that I mentioned, town hall sessions, town hall debates, where voters will have the opportunity to connect directly, ask questions, comment about what they stand for, then maybe yung consciousness ng mga botante unti-unti magkakaroon ng parang elevation na ganito pala dapat ako pagdating sa pakikitungo ko sa mga kandidato. Na meron kaming connection, 'di ba, na pwede ko siyang sabihan ng ano bang hinaing ko, and then makikinig ako doon sa sinasabi niya. And doon ko pagbabasihan yung boto ko. Hindi yung nanonood lang ako ng ads o kaya nanonood ako ng mga rally, ng mga entertainment lang ang focus. Pag merong direct connection between the voter and the candidate, then there's a big chance of our political consciousness being elevated to a level na finally we can elect candidates who will solve our problems, not exacerbate them.
Oo. Kasi parang mga bata pa lang tayo, yan ay nakagisna natin, no, yung mga politiko kapag campaign period na batuhan na ng mga maanghang na salita, 'di ba? Ungkatan na ng mga dumi, ng mga nakaraan, etc. So I think, do you think it's high time na baguhin na rin ng COMELEC yung kanilang mga guidelines regarding this? Kasi as of now, sabi ng COMELEC, 'di ba, it's not prohibited yung mga negative campaigning unless libelous, defamatory yung mga sinabi nung kaaway mo, 'di ba, sa kampanya. But do you agree with the COMELEC stance on not having jurisdiction over the actions also ng mga kandidato during the campaign?
So here's where I put on my constitutionalist hat, ano? Kasi I'm very wary of sort of giving power to government to intervene when it comes to political discourse and public discourse, because of course, we're afraid, no, na magkakaroon ng censorship.
Yes, yung freedom of expression.
Repression. Lagi tayo natatakot doon eh. So, but on the other hand, COMELEC also has to take responsibility kasi alam nyo, nakalagay sa ating saligang batas, bona fide candidates for public office must be free from harassment and discrimination. No? Nakalagay sa ating saligang batas yun. They must be free from harassment and discrimination. So, siguro yung constitution natin is also asking some kind of regulation that will protect the public discourse against yung mga masyadong extreme negative campaigning na nakaka-harm na ng public discourse, nakaka-discriminate na sa mga gustong, may mga genuine intentions to run for office, no? So, tama ka, Angela, maybe it's time for the COMELEC to reevaluate their role when it comes to protecting political discourse during elections.
Alright, sige, mag-aabang na lang tayo ulit ng iba pang mga mangyayari kasi medyo mahaba-haba pa ang campaign season. But for the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Michael Yusinko, Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Thanks for joining us again.
Maraming salamat din.
Coming up, the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas will hold a grand rally in Pasay City. Ano ba ang mga dapat nating abangan?
We'll take you to the live feed of the House's second hearing on online disinformation. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Now, the House Tri Committee is currently holding its second hearing on the spread of online disinformation. Now, let's listen in.
Together with State Counsel Christian Bautista and State Counsel Gerald Vincent Sosa. From the National Bureau of Investigation, Cybercrime Division, Attorney Van Homer Angluben. From the National Telecommunications Commission, Attorney Kathleen Egipto. From the Philippine National Police, the Director of the Anti-Cybercrime Group, Police Brigadier General Bernard Yang. And from the Legal Service, Police Lieutenant Colonel Anacleto Daliva. Also from the PNP, Colonel Columbo Alan Aberia and Colonel Nova de Castro Aglipay. From the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Attorney Rudolph Hularbal, Legal Counsel. From Press 1 PH, Mr. Felipe Salvosa and Mr. Nico Bedina. From Google Philippines, Attorney Yves Gonzalez, Head of the Government Affairs and Public Policy. Your Honor, several social media personalities were invited. Present today are Ms. Maria Lourdes Tiquia, Mr. Ross Flores del Rosario, and Mr. Elijah San Fernando. And also Attorney Claire Castro. From the Philippine Daily Inquirer, Ms. Juliet Haveliana. From the Social Weather Survey, Ms. Linda Guerrero. From Scam Watch Philippines, Mr. Josel de Guzman. And finally, former colleague, Congressman Sylvester Bellio. That's all for now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Comsec. The members of the three committees present this morning are the following. Chairman Joboy Aquino, yours truly, the Honorable Raul Daniel Manuel, the Honorable Rodante Marcoleta, the Honorable Joseph Stephen Caras Paduano, the Honorable Zia Raman Adiong, the Honorable Robert Ace Barbers, and the Honorable Ramon Rodrigo L. Gutierrez. Welcome po kayo sa hearing. Now, the representative of Google Philippines, are you present? Do you have a presentation to make?
Mr. Chair, we do.
Yes. How many minutes would that take?
Around, Mr. Chair, around 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, once again, with the indulgence of the Chairman and the members of this committee, may I ask Attorney Gonzalez your position in the Google?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Yves Gonzalez, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy for Google in the Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Please proceed, Attorney Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. So once again, I'm Yves Gonzalez, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy for Google in the Philippines. It's an honor to be able to share with you today how YouTube combats the spread of misinformation on the platform using our 4 R's responsibility framework. This is something that we consider core to our responsibility work. It is a complex and difficult challenge, but something that we're committed to tackling. YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice and show them the world. Over the past 20 years, YouTube has grown into a platform where billions of monthly users are sharing and learning from one another with over 500 hours of video uploaded every minute. YouTube addresses the challenges of misinformation using the 4 R's responsibility framework. Remove content that violates YouTube's policies, raise up authoritative sources for news and information, reduce recommendations of borderline content, and reward trusted creators. By employing this framework, YouTube seeks to balance its commitments to preserving an open internet and being a positive contributor to a safe, healthy, and well-informed society. Certain types of misleading or deceptive content with serious risk of egregious harm are not allowed on YouTube and are removed. This includes certain types of misinformation that can cause real-world harm, election misinformation, and medical misinformation. General misinformation includes certain types of technically manipulated content that can cause real-world harm, such as content that has been technically manipulated or doctored in a way that misleads users and may pose a serious risk of egregious harm, for example, deepfakes. Misattributed content that may pose a serious risk of egregious harm by falsely claiming that footage from a past event is from a current one, which experts on this committee have previously referred to as malinformation. We also prohibit certain types of content that may negatively impact free and fair democratic elections. This can include content that could materially discourage voting, content that advances false claims related to the technical eligibility requirements for current political candidates, and incitement to interfere with democratic processes. YouTube also doesn't allow content that poses a serious risk of harm by spreading medical misinformation that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's guidance. Enforcing policies is a nuanced decision-making process. It is important to underscore that YouTube protects videos that have a clear educational, documentary, scientific, and artistic purpose, together called EDSA exceptions. To help determine whether a video might qualify for an EDSA exception, we look at multiple factors, including the video title, descriptions, and the context provided in the video's audio or imagery. But this is not a free pass to spread harmful misinformation or promote hateful rhetoric. Everyone is subject to our community guidelines, from private citizens to the most visible public figures. We release a quarterly community guidelines enforcement report, which gives insights into the volume of flags and actions we take on content that violates our policies and the impact that technology has in aiding that enforcement. In the third quarter of 2024, we removed over 9.1 million videos for violating our policies, 4.8 million channels, and 1.3 billion comments. In the third quarter of 2024, over 80,000 videos globally were removed for violating our misinformation policies. Content that violates our guidelines is flagged by a mix of automated detection and human reporting. Around 97% were automatically flagged by AI systems, 2% were flagged by users, and 1% flagged by organizations and government agencies. In addition to removing content that violates our policies, we also track the percentage of views on YouTube that are generated by this content. We refer to this metric as the violative view rate, or VVR. VVR is our North Star for measuring our progress on removing content that violates community guidelines as quickly as possible. In the third quarter of 2024, the VVR was 0.11% until 0.12%, meaning that for every 10,000 views of content on YouTube, only 11 to 12 of those views are of violative content. YouTube also elevates authoritative sources for news and information and provides context for viewers. YouTube raises authoritative voices for newsworthy events in search results and watch panels. Another example is the breaking news shelf. When a major breaking news event happens, the breaking news shelf appears directly on the homepage, featuring relevant videos from authoritative news sources. Similarly, if a viewer searches for a particular news topic on YouTube, they will see a top news shelf near the top of the results, featuring relevant videos from authoritative sources. The same goes for health-related searches. When you search for a specific topic, such as diabetes, for example, our health content shelf will highlight videos that come from authoritative sources. YouTube also equips our users with additional context to help them make their own decisions about the content that they consume. To do this, YouTube highlights text-based information about certain events, topics, and publishers from third-party sources using information panels across YouTube. This can be related to evergreen topics prone to misinformation or to provide information about the publishers themselves, for example, whether they are funded in whole or in part by a government. Across all of these topics, we aim to surface content that will be helpful to individual users. YouTube now also requires creators to disclose to viewers when realistic content a viewer could easily mistake for a real person, place, scene, or event is made with altered or synthetic media, including generative AI. Labels that reflect this disclosure will then appear. For most videos, a label will appear in the expanded description. But for videos that touch on more sensitive topics like health, news, elections, or finance, YouTube will also show a more prominent label on the video itself. In some cases, YouTube may also add a label even when a creator hasn't disclosed it, especially if the use of altered or synthetic content has the potential to confuse or mislead viewers. Just as we work to raise authoritative content where accuracy and authoritativeness are key, we also strive to reduce the spread of content that, while not violating our policies, can still misinform users in harmful ways. This might include conspiracy theory videos or content that brushes the line of what is acceptable. While this content can remain on YouTube, we don't recommend it to users or surface it prominently in search results. Finally, for 15 years, YouTube has had a revenue sharing model, the YouTube Partner Program or YPP. YouTube views monetization on its platform as a privilege. Creators must be accepted into YPP to be eligible to monetize their content. A key eligibility requirement for YPP is to follow YouTube's monetization policies, which include our community guidelines, terms of service, and advertiser-friendly guidelines. These policies apply to creators' channels as a whole and not just to individual videos. Over the past few years, YouTube has taken steps to strengthen the requirement for monetization so that spammers, impersonators, and other bad actors can't hurt the system or take advantage of creators meeting the eligibility requirements. Because of this unique model, YouTube has a natural, long-term incentive to live up to its responsibility. Advertisers, viewers, creators, and media partners do not want to be
All right, that was the House Tricom second hearing on spread of online disinformation.
Yung nagsasalita is the attorney from Legal Affairs of Government and Legal Affairs ng Google.
Yes.
Talking about how YouTube polices its ranks.
Right. We've seen some attendees of the second hearing today. We have the political analyst or strategist Malu Tikia. Also present there is from the legal counsel of KBP and also a representative from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. But we have not seen, or we have not...
controversial
controversial bloggers.
So-called influencers na nag-file sa Supreme Court regarding yung suppression daw of free speech nila. Oo.
Yes. So wala tayo doon, no? Hindi pa natin sila nakikita. But sabi nga ni Representative Ace Barbers, aside from the policies or mga disinformation na titingnan nila na kumakalat online, they will also look into the tax compliance ng mga social media influencers.
Oo, kasi malaki ang kinikita ng mga influencer na yan. Sometimes most of them are even earn bigger than several TV personalities. When TV personalities are taxed, we pay naman our taxes, diba? And sila, may gray area kasi on how they pay their taxes.
Now, what happens now to those who didn't attend the hearing, no? Second hearing na to? They may possibly face contempt charges. Yun ang sinabi ng mga chairman ng House Tricom.
Dapat yun ang hintay nila na magkaroon ng contempt charge and then they can question it sa Supreme Court. Pero sa first hearing pa lang, nag-cite na sila na free speech nila nako-curtail. Yun, medyo malaking problema yan.
Again, for those who just tuned in, we just showed the ongoing House Tricom second hearing on spread of online disinformation. And what you're seeing right now on screen is...
Ace Barbers.
Yes, Congressman Ace Barber of Surigao del Norte. Okay.
All right, don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on the One News.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
The Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas Senatorial candidates are staging a massive rally in Pasay City today. For updates, we have mobile journalist Julie Baiza live from the ground.
Hey, Julie.
Diego, Angela, Pasay City naman nga ang liligawan ng mga kandidato ng Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas ngayong araw. Ito yung unang beses na magtutungo nga sa Metro Manila para sa Grand Rally ang grupo. Noong nakaraang linggo kasi, Iloilo, Davao at Ilocos Norte yung binisita nila. Ang sabi ng Alyansa, crucial daw yung Metro Manila lalo't higit 13 million yung botante dito. Ano? Sa ngayon, Angela, Diego, inaabangan natin yung pagharap ng mga senatorial candidates sa press conference. Gaya ng mga nagdaan nilang schedule bago kasi yung Grand Rally, nagsasagawa muna sila ng press con para sa una paglalatag ng mga plano at plataforma at sumasagot din ng ilan sa mga katanungan. Mamaya naman pagkatapos ng press con, didiretso sila sa 12,000 capacity Cuneta Astrodome kung saan naman inaasahan na isasagawa nga yung Grand Rally.
Yes, Julie, of course, ang tanong dito, present pa ba si Senator Amy Marcos?
Yan pa yung titingnan natin kung dadalo siya dito, una sa press con at mamaya sa Grand Rally. Kasi although syempre lahat naman ng mga kandidato under Alyansa ay nakalista sa mga attendees.
Sino yung mga narinig mo na napupunta dyan na kilalang personalities and yung mga magpa-perform or mga celebrities or influencers that will be part of that campaign?
Mamaya doon sa Cuneta Astrodome, inaasahan syempre na pupunta una si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na nakapag-schedule na nga ng ilan na mga campaign na pupuntahan at susuportahan. And of course, doon naman sa mga kandidato so far, yung mga nagko-confirm na sina Abalos, Revilla, yan pa yung mga nakita din natin na may mga staff na nandito sa press con. So sila din yung inaasahan natin na possible na sumagot muna ng ilan sa mga katanungan bago pumunta doon sa venue. Pero kanina nasilip na rin yung venue, ilang mga paghahanda na rin yung ginagawa doon at nagsisimula na rin naman na magkabit ng mga tarps and other campaign materials.
And I understand na it hasn't started yet yung campaign dyan, but where to next? At saka ano ba yung strategy ng Alyansa ng Bagong Pilipinas dun sa pagdating sa kanilang pangangampanya? We all know that they started in Lawag as the bailiwick ng Marcos family. Pero ano ba yung mga iba pang mga nakikita nating mga strategiya nila sa pagkampanya?
Yung mga susunod pupuntahan nila malalayong probinsya kagaya ng Dumaguete at Bacolod. Ang sinasabi nga nila, ang ginagawa ng grupo, talagang pinupuntahan nila yung mga pinakamalalayong lugar at halos lahat sana ng region mabibisita para of course makapagpakilala at maipakita yung presence sa kanila. Ang sabi nga nung nakaraan nung kanilang campaign manager na parang although mga miracle naman na yung mga pangalan kasi mga veterano na at mga talagang kumakandidato ng politiko, pero mainam daw na sa ground na ipapakilala pa rin yung kanilang mga kandidato. Even nga dito sa NCR, hindi rin nila pinalampas kasi kung tutuusin, pwede naman na dire-diretso lang na puro probinsya muna at saka magpo-focus sa NCR. Pero ang ginagawa nila is nagpo-probinsya, una of course yung Baluarte muna and then at saka babalik dito and then ganun ulit yung mga future na gagawin na pagkatapos ng ilang beses sa probinsya, babalik ulit ng isang city dito sa Metro Manila.
Itong mga, for example, di ba, nag-start sila sa Lawag, tapos nandyan sa Pasay. Ito yung mga kick-off events kasi na tinatawag nila Do we expect si PBBM to be in all of those events even after itong mga binanggit mong lugar?
Yes, inaasahan na dadaluhan ng Pangulo, lalo na yung mga malalayong lugar. Kasi ang nangyari naman, nakita natin na pattern from last time. For example, sa Iloilo pumunta ang Pangulo. Pero before the campaign rally, merong ibang event naman na ginawa ang Pangulo doon. Nakipag-meeting siya sa ibang mga officials. So kung dadaluhan naman ng Pangulo yung mga event na yun, hindi lang iyon yung ginagawa, kundi may mga isinisigintan na other presidential events.
Julie, kasi we've seen several scheduled debates already in the past bago pa mag-start yung campaign rally nila. And of course, there are also several debates that are scheduled as well in the next few days. Pero nakikita ko kasi yung trend na hindi uma-attend yung mga kilalang mga kandidato ng mga senatorial slate, particularly also yung nasa slate ng Alyansa ng Bagong Pilipinas. Meron ba silang nabanggit kung bakit parang ito na ba talaga hindi na natin sila asahan na umattend ng mga debates?
Sa ngayon, hindi pa kasi na itatanong yung previously sa kanila yung kung bakit nga hindi dumalo sa event. Pero isa yan sa itatanong natin. Pero siguro masabi din natin na humaharap naman din yung grupo at sumasagot ng tanong kasi lahat din ng campaign rally nila meron gaya nitong press conference before.
I understand you're in isang events place dyan sa Pasay City. Pero sa labas ba, nakakakita ba tayo ng mga supporters dyan?
Wala dito yung mga supporters kasi ito ay hotel kung saan press conference and open for media lang. So yung mga supporters kanina nandoon na sila sa rally venue.
Ayan, Julie, based sa mga experiences mo on the ground, kasi I'm sure you go around, di ba? Sa mga kandidato ng admin, sino ba ang sa tingin mo yung nararamdaman mong medyo mainit or medyo sumisikat ngayon sa mata ng publiko?
Yung nakikita natin, of course, si Congressman Tulfo. Kasi parang dahil may recall, minsan kapag nasa any rallies or actually any event na makikita mo may other candidates, yun yung itatanong nila, nandiyan ba si Tulfo? And of course, si Senator Lapid din, kilala na kasi siya ng masa. So parati din na kapag masa yung kausap mo, si Senator Lapid po ba nandito? Yun yung mga itinatanong din.
But speaking of Tulfo, merong recently yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, may naghain ng disqualification case sa kanya. Laban din sa kanyang kapatid na si Ben Tulfo. Ganun din dun sa iba pang Tulfo family. Nakausap mo na ba siya, si Congressman Tulfo regarding this at ano yung kanyang reaksyon?
Hindi pa sila nagsasalita pero isa yan sa mga nakatakda nating pag-usapan or itanong sa kanya dito sa press conference, granting kung nandito siya or a-attend ng press con.
Julie, pati isa pang nagba-viral sa isang candidate, si Senator Manny Pacquiao, lumalabas sa social media yung dating statements niya during the presidential campaign against the Marcos family. And then all of a sudden, nag-iiba, di ba? So have you heard any statements from the Pacquiao camp?
Actually, nung start pa lang, Diego, nung pinakilala pa lang yung 12 kandidato under alyansa, na itanong na sa kanya noon pa na itinaas ng Pangulo yung kamay nila na parang what made you change your mind? And ito nga, may mga nasabi before, tapos parang sabi nga niya, ngayon nga na piniling sumama at tinanggap yung suporta ng Pangulo. So parang lahat naman daw ng kumbaga past is past. And ngayon, kasama na siya or kaisa na siya ng grupo. Iyon yung sinabi niya noon, nung una pa lang na natanong sila at ipakilala sila.
Past is past naman pala eh.
Normalize daw changing of opinion.
Patawad na lang. Alright, sige.
Babalikan ka na iba pang programa natin sa One News. That was mobile journalist Julie Baiza live from Pasay.
Quezon City schools are now implementing safety measures amid the dengue outbreak in the city. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza has the report.
Schools in Quezon City continue to prepare in line with the surge of the city's dengue outbreak. Last February 15, the Quezon City government announced a dengue outbreak after tallying over 1,700 cases since January 1. Most of these cases affect the minor age group.
Ang cases natin ay nasa 1,769 at 10 dito ay case fatality or namatay po. More than half ay nasa 5 years old to 17 years old.
Various schools have already advised their students on the safety measures that must be adhered to, including wearing long socks, jogging pants, long sleeves, and jackets. Applying mosquito repellent is also advised. Other schools started their cleanup drive by removing stagnant water in containers and spraying pesticides.
Simula nung last week pa actually, so nag-start na yan ngayon sa mga school. Nagko-coordinate na yan sa mga barangay, papare-schedule natin yung ating mga cleanup drive at spraying activities.
However, the Quezon City Health Office clarified that classes are still ongoing.
Wala pong ganun. Tuloy-tuloy po ang klase natin ng mga estudyante.
The Quezon City government also advised people at home to ensure cleanliness as the disease can be acquired even indoors.
Usually kasi ang dengue mosquito nakikita yan sa household at dun sa mga immediate surroundings ng bahay. So that sa mga schools din So kailangan natin ng matinding paglilinis at para mawala yung itlugan ng mga lamok
Mobile journalist Damia Chenza, PR1 News.
Quick reminder lang siguro sa dengue.
Yeah. Of course, yung kanina na natin sa news also, sinasabihan yung mga may mga lagnat, huwag daw pa inumin yung mga anak nila ng ibuprofen. Kasi it makes the blood thicker para dun sa baka kasi merong mga hemorrhagic fever.
Saka mga diet, clear food, masyadong dark or brown.
Para makita kung
may bleeding.
Yun ang
Saka wag na maghintay ng third day. Kung kaya naman sa first day pa lang magpa-test, tapos kung negative, balik ka ulit sa third day, pa-test ka ulit.
And there are other areas also of concern. Nabanggit nila yan sa Calabarzon, etc. Hindi lang sinabi ng DOH yung exact places kasi it is in the law na dapat yung LGU magsabi nun. Okay? So medyo kumakalat na po yung marami kasing mga lamok ngayon at dahil nga sa mga pag-ulan unexpectedly, they're also looking at climate change, diba, as one of the factors here. Kaya po, maglinis tayo ng paligid.
Keep clean, keep clean. All right, with that, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote that hopefully will start your day right. Unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. A quote from Bob Carey. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.